So, Cailum Meara, last year was your first year involved in the Irish motocross management team. So let's just rewind the red bud. How was your first experience being part of Team Ireland at the Motocross of Nations in America?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, the first one was in America, which was a bit of a task, but I mean, we got the job done in terms of getting there. The riders were happy. We had everything done to a high standard. I mean, the result wasn't the best, but that's what we have this year for to hopefully get straight through to that A final and no B final. Last year, the weather wasn't on our side either, and we had a few other hiccups. I mean, with Martin's bike stopping in the B final and stuff. But yeah, apart from that, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed the experience, met a lot of friends, so we're good to go again for this year.
Yeah, and just on last year, obviously the 2 days were very different conditions. Saturday you had a dry, pretty flat and very fast track, something we're maybe not too used to, but heavens open, and it was a bit of a mutter on Sunday. But obviously, as you mentioned, in that B final, I think all the riders sort of had hiccups on the first laps. That kind of killed any hope we had. But I think, apart from Barr, who had bike issues, I think they all done the best they could in the B final.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, even going back till the Saturday, obviously Stuart had a bike issue straight away off the mark, trying to jump Larocco's lead, come up a bit short. So we were on the back foot straight away, but we all pulled together. We've a good group of team, or a good group of guys that are around us that are part of the team that myself and Mark have got together, and we all work really well together. And then on the Saturday, I mean, Martin crashed twice, first lap, no fault of his own on the qualifying race. John had a pretty strong race, but I mean, TV does nothing any justice whenever you go to there. There's so many fast guys. I mean, 1 second a lap can bring you from 20th till 5th place. But yeah, and then the Sunday, obviously, the heavens opened. It was like a swamp on Sunday morning whenever we got there. But look, it's one of them things. It's nothing that's unusual for us. The track's been the same for everyone. So, but as I say, going back to this year, we have this year till to make things right and get straight into that A final.
And just as a brother, you must have been very proud of John. Obviously, growing up, you probably would have always hoped that he would represent Ireland one day. But a few years ago, you probably thought this would never happen. But he got the chance to represent Ireland last year on the 250, and he actually ended up beating Joe Shimoda in the B final. And I thought he rode really good in that B final.
Yeah, I mean, John rode really well, but look, I'm there to do a job. Whether it's one of my brothers there racing or not, it doesn't matter to me. I'm there to represent my country and do the best for that flag. But yeah, I mean, it was great obviously to have him on the team. It's great to have Jason on the team this year. John rode absolutely amazing last year. He had a good bike underneath him that Roger McGee was kindly enough to work with us and get a job done together. But yeah, as I say, I'm there to do a team. It doesn't matter who's on the team for me. I'm there to represent the country in that flag.
And turning our attentions to this year, I think it would probably be fair to say it was mainly between 4 riders, Barr, Meara, Mackerel and Edmonds, and either way it was always going to be a tricky decision to leave one out. But what was the thinking behind the rider selection, and how did you and the team manager come to the final decision in the end?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you always hear a lot of crap here and there about it, but whenever you're attending the races every week, you know what's going on. You know, riders are carrying niggling injuries, riders are having bike problems, this, that and the other. But, I mean, it definitely came down between Stuart, Martin, Glenn and Jason. And in terms of having our 2 450 riders, I mean, Stuart's a big boy. He knows himself that he didn't perform till his standard this year. Now, the past weekend at Mannerley Basin, he performed absolutely amazing. But up until maybe the past couple of weeks, Stuart hasn't performed till how I know how he can perform and how he knows how he can perform. So it didn't make things easy, but it made things a bit easier knowing that Stuart wasn't on his game. And then back to our 250 selection, you have Glenn, who's really the only rider from here that's really up to that mark and who's able to ride to that standard now. I mean, at the weekend he did struggle a bit, but that's why we brought the guys at the weekend, was to get their feet wet and know how things are going to work next week. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, it was hard in terms of the 4 riders, but apart from them 4, there wasn't anyone that really came close.
Yeah, and just on Glenn McCormick, he had obviously been knocking on the door for a spot for a while now and always sort of missed out. But obviously last year John did justify his decision, but this year is going to be a massive opportunity for Glenn to represent his country and something he probably does deserve.
Yeah, of course, as you said, Glenn's been knocking on the door as many years, but I mean, look, that's how Motocross Nations goes. There's been many guys that have been knocking on the doors as many years, like John last year. John, maybe you could argue he could have been picked 3 or 4 times before that, but I mean, it's all down to the team manager and what we think's right, or what Mark thinks is right. So, but yeah, I mean, I've no doubt in my mind that Glenn's going to go there and do the best job that he can. He'll be back on a 250. I mean, people might look at results from the weekend, but it was Glenn's first time riding a big bike, riding it at a big event. So, I mean, that's exactly why we went at the weekend, was to get everyone's feet wet, and to me, they all done themselves proud. They improved each session as it went on, and yeah, I mean, look, we're good to go for next weekend. We're happy. We're looking forward to it. We're confident in getting into that final.
Yeah, and just on, you touched on it there slightly, but just on the final MXGP World Championship round at Matterley Basin, I have to say, I think it was a brilliant decision to let all 3 riders plus the reserve rider race. I think, as you know yourself, trying to jump in at this GP level is never easy, and when you only have one weekend with a lot of pressure at the nations, I think it's good for them. No pressure on the Saturday because they know they're going to qualify. So how did you find just watching the GP and watching all 4 guys? I think Barr and Edmonds did have a few issues over the weekend, but I thought Jason rode really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Look, that's what it's like whenever you have Mark Mooney as the main guy. He doesn't do things half measures, and that's something that I got to learn very quick with him. If he does something, he's full in, and that's why them guys got the opportunity to go at the weekend. But yeah, as you said, Martin and Stuart had some issues, but look, all the guys improved every session as it went on. I know personally from speaking to Jason that he only got better as the weekend went on. I mean, the improvement I seen from Glenn from his first session on the Saturday right through to that last moto on the Sunday was huge. So yeah, like I say, whenever you're working with Mark, he does not do things half measures, and I'm sure anyone that's been involved in the team or has been at the event where the team's been a part of, they'll be able to tell you that themselves.
And obviously in the future, is that something you're going to look to do? Maybe do the last MXGP round as prepare for the nations? Obviously it'll probably all depend on funding and things like that, and Matterley was an easier one to do, but is that something you'd like to do in the future?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's something that we would like to do more than once throughout the year, but as you touched on it there, the funding, it's not cheap to come from here. I mean, we have an extra ferry than everyone, we have extra mileage and fuel, we have entry fees, but as I said before, if Mark's able to do anything, or if I'm able to do anything for the boys to get them there more than once throughout the year, we'll definitely try our best to do it.
And what's the plans for France then? I believe you're heading over on Saturday, and there is plans for the guys all to have one day at a track before the main event starts on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm heading on Saturday. I'm actually just out at the minute, still getting things together here. It's 8:30, just done work, so I'm out getting some things together. Still working hard, getting everything sorted before I head on Saturday. But yeah, the plan is heading Saturday. The rest, just suss out the area, make sure that the guys have everything there that we need in terms of restaurants, in terms of supermarkets, get everything there that they're comfortable with. And then yeah, we're going to go riding on the Thursday possibly. Falls being well, maybe Wednesday as well. We're not sure. We'll let the guys decide that. As the riders get anything the riders want, they'll get whenever it's me and Mark involved. So yeah, that's the plan so far. I mean, everything's went a bit easier than last year because it's obviously only in France. But look, we'll see how things go once we get there.
Yeah, and just on the MX Nation, maybe something that people at home don't see, but I feel like these days it's not easy to qualify. Obviously, growing up, we always had, let's say, an elite rider in Gordon Crockard, but don't have somebody quite that high doing GPs every week these days. And obviously the smaller countries seem to be growing. You know, you've got the likes of Slovenia and Norway and countries like that these days really strong. So it's certainly not getting any easier to qualify, but hopefully this year we're going to avoid that B final. I'm sure that'll be the goal.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, everyone's going to talk no matter what, but they're the guys that are sitting at home watching the race with a beer in their hand, and we're the guys that are standing there, whether it's rain, hail or snow, making sure that the guys have everything they need. But look, if anyone has any doubt that these riders are going to work their ass off all year, train all year, sacrifice whatever it is they're sacrificing, most of them have partners, they have kids, the family of themselves, and if people think that they're going to sacrifice their life all year to ride bikes and then go to the Motocross Nations and not give it their all, I mean, they must be away in the head. But as you said, you have the smaller countries that are starting to, they at least have one or two really fast riders, like Slovenia, you have Norway, you even have the Puerto Rican team or whatever else that's coming this year again, and they have strong riders, but I mean, the guys that are sitting at home watching motocross on Speed Hive every weekend, they don't see that.
Yeah, and just in terms of the event this year, what's your expectations for Team Ireland, and also on a personal level? You've obviously only done it 1 year. I'm sure you're there to learn and pick things up for the experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, like our expectations always, as it always is for Team Ireland, is just to get straight into that A final. And if we don't, then the expectation is 100% to win that B final. There's no ifs and buts about it. That's what we're there to do. That's the job the guys know that they have to do for their country and for the team and for everyone else that work their ass off all year for them. So yeah, that's our expectations. And in terms of me learning, yeah, it's a massive learning experience for me, especially even being friends with Mark there on a personal level. And I mean, he's such a businessman. His way of life, how he speaks to people, everything. I mean, it's benefited me in my everyday life now. And in terms of Motocross Nations, hopefully it's something that I can do in the future. If Mark ever decides that he wants to step down, it means I'm trained up, I'm ready to go. And definitely, if anyone knows me, I'll give my all for my country.
And one rider I'd like to get your thoughts on is young Cole McCulloch. He has been racing the EMX 125 Championship. Now, I completely understand why he wouldn't have been in contention this year, obviously riding the 125 all year, but I think with another year behind him in the GP paddock and maybe doing more MX2 races, is that a rider you're going to be watching closely? And obviously you raced the MX 150 in the past, so you know what it's like to go to these races and travel the world racing. It's not easy, and I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've been watching Cole as many years, and yeah, as you said, within the next 2 years, he's probably going to be the number one guy. He is the next Graham Irwin coming through, if you want to say, or the next Gordon Crocker potentially. Maybe not that high level, but yeah, I mean, he's putting the work in, he's putting the hours in, and of course, it's no secret that he's going to be probably the main guy within the next 2 years. But right now, I mean, he's still racing with some kids. He's doing the shorter races, but I mean, he's doing everything right. He's got himself in that paddock. He's riding the big tracks. He knows the schedule. He's putting the work in off the bike. So, yeah, of course, I mean, it's no secret to anyone that knows anything about the bikes that Cole is probably going to be our main guy within the next year or two.
And last question, whenever I caught up with you last year for an interview, you mentioned about the Junior World Championship and Ireland possibly sending a team. Now, it obviously didn't happen this year. I imagine trying to get that sorted for Romania would have been a bit of a nightmare. But do you think that's something that's possible for the future and maybe even next year? I do believe it might be in Europe next year, so that might be more helpful and maybe possible to do there. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, 100% of it's given back to the kids here. You know, they've given back to our federation as many years, so I don't think it would be a big issue to give back to the kids and get them on that world stage. I mean, I did try to bring a team this year, but other people got involved and then they backed out at the last minute. But look, that's something that's completely out of my control. But yeah, I mean, if it's something that it means I have to work with someone else to get the guys there this year, once again, I'll try my best. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it's definitely not something that I haven't been trying. It got pulled out of my hands last year, out of my control, and then the team manager was supposed to go back out. Whether that's personal issues or what was going on, I'm not sure. But I mean, I had my name forward for it, and I was up for doing the job. But they maybe didn't think I was the right candidate for the job for whatever reason that was. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask them.
That's great, Cailum. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck this weekend with everything and for the future.
Perfect, mate.